Sounds like it was a complete shit show. And the way Hotshot just said that just then, like we all know them kind of people when we were a kid, you know, and they're like, which arm would you cut off? You know, would you cut off your right leg or your left arm? You know, but you have to cut off one of them. Like, shut the fuck up. No, I don't. Go back to class.
Hi everyone. I'm trying to I'm trying to jump in. I just don't know like when. Like I hopped in this conversation when we were talking about like documentaries and stuff like that. Can I just like start off by saying like the amount of times that I hop into spaces right now and the topic of conversation is shit, like literal shit is just like unacceptable.
That's the
It's
market
insane.
conditions are
It's
doing
it's
that.
so it's so bad that like one of the best performing NFTs I have right now is literally a pile of shit. Um, but apart from that, like I wanted to hop on earlier and just say that like my point of view coming from someone that does watch a lot of documentaries and really like I enjoy taking an objective view on any topic. It doesn't matter what my own personal view is. Like, it's always good to be able to look at a narrative objectively. And the second a documentary kind of, or anything for that matter, tries to push one sort of narrative instead of just stating facts as they are and letting you come to your own kind of conclusion or narrative, that's when it becomes fishy for me. It doesn't matter what it is, if you're pushing any sort of narrative, if you're pushing any side of it, it's no longer by definition a documentary. This is now pushing an opinion on you, and it's not just presenting you with the facts and letting you form your own kind of opinion on it. I know that's not the topic right now, and I have no idea what happened with you guys when Ryder was in here earlier. I just that's when I hopped in. I wanted to comment on that.
No.
And also, like Bouvet, you asked as far as like artwork goes, conceptual art is very, it's also very, it's very subjective. So it's hard to look at what art is considered these days. So someone would consider something art, other people definitely would not, and neither one is correct or it's all just based on your own opinion. If you believe if something, um, if you react to something, technically that would be considered art, just to begin with. But yeah, again, that's a subjective topic. Also, hi, Hotshot. I've never been in any of your spaces, but this is an interesting one. Um, I think that's it. Anyone?
Yeah. So, okay. So, are you saying that if I think something is art and I believe it, it's subjective to my thoughts that that's art,
Absolutely, no
right?
one can tell you otherwise.
Man, but sometimes I don't get it. Like, it's like there's like a rock, and then let's say this is art, and then
There's a
doesn't.
banana stuck to the wall that won art piece of the year like a couple of years ago. I mean, and that's completely subjective. A lot of people understood it, a lot of people didn't. And it's
It was still original though to that
absolutely,
artist.
absolutely.
It's the same thing if I take like a can of Coke and I crumble it up and put it in a bush and I say like this is art for pollution. Some people will get it and some people will don't get it.
Not even. You could just say this is art, and it literally is. Everyone sees it
Absolutely,
differently.
no one can
So,
tell you it's not.
yeah.
No one can tell you it's not. But but again, to touch on like what Hotshot said, you could get, in this case, you could get like a million people to now say, oh yes, that is art. Like I get your point of view on that, and I understand where you're coming from, and I agree. Then I mean, I think it becomes more widely acceptable, and like the more people that come on board, the more you can push your narrative and get people to believe it. But it's ultimately
Here's the thing. I can't hear you anymore. Let me know if you're still talking.
I think you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, she cut out.
I want to give you an update, Hotshot. When the Rider Rips stage started, a lot of people left the space and they're still all there. So like
Of
350
course.
people were like here for
Dude,
the
who
drama and
cares?
I know.
That's obvious, bro. Like majority
Oh, that was
people just want to see
expected.
the shit show, man. Straight out. Like welcome to the circus.
That's okay. That's nothing new. You don't have to give me an update about that. I don't care about how many people listen. I don't care about any of that. I don't care about the numbers. I don't care about the followers. I don't care about any of that. So you don't have to update me. I know that you care because you always want to update me about my followers, and you always come like, "Hey, Hotshot, we need to increase your follower count, bro. I have an opinion." I get that. I appreciate that, but
Bro, I
I
never
don't care
said
about
that
it.
to you, man.
You have you in the beginning when you always
I
come
once
like,
said to you, you almost have 4,444 followers because in my name, it's make the world 444.
you said multiple times like we need to get you more followers. We need to get you out there. We need to get you on YouTube, or you're
Well,
going to do a
sure.
podcast. That type
Yeah,
of stuff.
that's true. I really want you on YouTube. I really want you on Netflix. But that following thing, man, post the screenshots. Like, that's not
I've
true,
heard
man.
that
I
fuck
said it
as
once
well.
to you. I
Just
said it
saying.
once to you. And it's true, Hotshot. You deserve a lot of more followers. It's true, man. What else can I say? It's
Uh,
true.
that's okay. I'm just trying to make a point, but uh, on what was saying about the reports is absolutely true. It's like once you only show one side and you deliberately remove data, or even you know, what's it called? Unconsciously have a bias or fallacy. That's why you have an editor. That's why you have someone to check your footage, right? That's why journalism exists. So there's fact checking, there's vetting, because there's always a party that goes, okay, present me what you have, and then go, oh yeah, this is not working. This is what's this about? You have someone sitting there that will actually look at it, and it's very obvious that Ryder hasn't done that, and it also became quite noticeable that he probably did not do the research, because I've looked at all the threads, and they were all written by someone else. And those are the people he credited. And the threads are almost an exact copy of what he put on the website. So, and then you sort of see how his personality works. And I just go, did you just use other people's opinions, package that, and went with it?
That's how it looks like.
Because once I start pointing out the issue with the date, for instance, he really had no answer. It's like he didn't even know. He was saying the official date was April 30 April, right? And he said it originally as a quote, as if the founders said that on the New Yorker. And I said it's not quoted; it's just written up. And then he says, "Yeah, but uh, it's still in there, and it shouldn't be. If it wasn't correct, it wouldn't be in the New Yorker." But I've worked with multiple outlets. I had my own publicist for years, and the amount of shit that had to be corrected on the daily with these interviews, it's so common. Like the most well-known people would have like their names spelled incorrectly, the dates would be wrong, you get misquoted, or your quote gets pulled out of context in every interview. There's almost no interview unless you have final say over it, and then it's not really an interview anymore. um, it happens all the time, and but yeah, and then he willfully ignores all the other official dates that's been around that I mentioned. And that's a fallacy. If you willfully ignore the other data points that don't support your narrative, you are no longer working with evidence or research or facts. You've wandered into fallacies, and if you continue down that road, you will wander into conspiracy theories. And if you go down that road, you'll know where you end up, right? You'll know where you end up, and most likely you will end up somewhere on 4chan, ironically.
Hospital.
Didn't he say at one stage that he wasn't sure that there were other things that said different dates? Like, or am I just going bonkers? And then at the end, randomly, he's like, "Oh, this is just turning into a conspiracy theory room." But isn't that what we were talking about? Like the
That's
entire
what I
thing was
said.
about your
It's like, yeah, it
conspiracy.
is a
I know.
conspiracy theory for sure. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. The whole Ryder Ripps thing is a conspiracy theory for sure.
I didn't
GM,
know whether I was
GM, everybody.
confused or laughing. But
GM,
hi,
GM.
Darian. Hey, Elmo.
Hi, Dario.
What's up, yo? I just gotta chime in real quick before I take my kids to school. Yo, what Zarina was saying before about conceptual art, Man, Zarina, you nailed it on the head, but I don't even want you to waste your breath when it comes to this and this situation, because this has nothing to do with conceptual art. This is a dude who has zero bones of originality and is taking everybody, fleecing everybody. And this is like salesman pitch 101. And I know this because I used to work with a bunch of sharks and a bunch of salesmen who would literally take somebody else's stuff and just try to pitch it, and they're literally selling you the narrative. If you bought this, you are buying the narrative. I did not know you could actually buy the narrative though. This is the most this is historic because this kind of goes beyond selling a bridge. This is like selling the idea of selling a bridge. I don't like this is dumb. So shout
But
outs to
but
anybody who thinks this is conceptual art. This is not conceptual art. This person did
but
not
I
make this. Like
Dario, I
the
kind of understand it because let's say if Andy Warhol takes anything, like let's
No,
say
no, 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 no.
Yeah,
nah,
Not
no,
even
bro.
close to
no,
the
Andy
don't,
Warhol
comparison.
made it.
don't.
Andy
Yes.
Warhol
Andy
made it.
Warhol was
Can't.
If
sued.
you
Yes.
go and
Andy
you're like,
Warhol
I'm gonna
was
take a
sued for all of
picture.
his stuff and settled outside of court. Andy Warhol was sued for all of his stuff and settled outside of court. You can look at it. He might
really,
not have gone through the process, but he did settle and he did pay those companies.
I
So
didn't know. I
Yeah,
didn't
Hey,
know.
and even then, by the way, I went to the Andy Warhol Museum in Pittsburgh. Interesting experience. But like even then, at the at the very least, you see Andy Warhol like making something, right? He may be copying, but he's making some. This gentleman did nothing, right? Like this is yo man. This is to me. I'm just like yo. This can't exist, guys. Like we can't be this gullible.
But Dario,
'Cause-
I feel like
Dario,
he just tried to
were
play
you
on the
there?
most.
Were
Sorry.
you there when we tried to let him explain what type of art he made? Did you hear that
no,
part?
no.
Dude,
I'm just hearing what you guys are
oh
saying. Tell
no,
me.
that
Tell
was
me.
a
Tell me.
point of discussion. I'm not sure who coined the phrase, but I think it was Bando who was quite heated. He said, like, "What did you make?" And he's like, "Yeah, let me explain. I made the art." And I was like, "Wait a minute. You didn't make art. The IPFS points to the exact same base URI on the Bored Ape contract. It's the exact same thing. You didn't even mint it. It's pointing right at the exact same thing." It's like you made no art if you refer to art as something physically you're drawing or those images that you didn't make those. You didn't even copy those. It's pointing to the place where they are. So the contract was made, but that was made by H Wonder. He didn't do any of that. So, and he went quiet for a bit, and then he's like, "Yeah, it's the context. I changed the context of how people look at Bored Apes, and that's the art I did."
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dario,
and that's
the different
Using
provenance
the
Cool
hash
story,
same
bro.
art.
apparently creates a different context and a different narrative just because it
Yeah,
has a different provenance hash. But Dario, didn't you know
yeah.
that the narrative is part of the utility? Like, come on, as if you didn't know this.
oh yeah,
It's artistic
this opens up
laughing.
a new market. This opens up a brand new market, guys. I want all of us to just start looking at all the brands that we know, like Nike and Adidas, and let's just take
No,
everything that they have and
no,
just create up a
we
let's
need
make a
to.
new freaking a new context, a
No,
new
we need to
narrative.
change the context of how we all look at Ryder Rips.
Oh
That's what we
yes,
need to change. We can all change. We can do collective art right here. This is a collective conceptual art piece of how we look at Ryder Rips. And we can all start doing this right now. We can change how we look at Ryder Rips based on what happened in this space today, where he was attacking women on stage constantly, repeatedly, trying to do so. He threatened my person before he left, and then he created a doxing space where he wanted to talk about me, and he dodged real answers by people that feel this shit in real life, and he had nothing to say. And then he tried to make a move to say that if a Caucasian man uses the N word, it's different than if a person of color would use it. He was digging his own
oh
grave. And and
nah, he
and yeah,
didn't go there,
Dario,
bro. Tell
you
me he
don't want
didn't
to
go there,
you
bro.
don't want to know, bro. You don't want to know. He was digging his own
Ah.
grave. And we need to change
Ask him to
the
shut it down.
context. We need to change the context of how we look at Ryder Rips. And we can all call that collective community art. How do we feel about that one?
I like it. I
Let's
love it.
fucking go.
I'm
I think
down.
you've just convinced 300 people of that narrative. I think
That's
everyone's
a
buying
5
it.
ETH floor minimum.
Now
Wait,
go
guys,
out and buy this NFT.
There's no NFT to buy. It's just a LARP, like straight out. This we're all here for it. There's no money to be made off this one. This is truly community.
This is true community, and it's a genuine
This is what
effort to
it's
improve the
about. This is
space.
how you give back.
what's the opposite
There's
of
there's
conceptual
there,
art?
there's no money to be made here. Just people that want a healthy, supportive community, not a dividing community, not a community based on false narratives, not a community we've had in Web 2 where people were taken advantage of over and over for decades long on end. We wanted to get away from that. And what you get here is a fake conceptual artist that's been riding the wave from other people's ideas for too long and now wants to do the same thing in Web 3. He didn't even do his own research, and when asked about it, he has no answers. He isn't even aware of if the incongruences of his research, quote unquote. And the person that made the video was given a writer of way shape.